Let's begin by reopening our nice Bodie Lighthouse text page. We are in live view so we can actually see how this works, and we're happy with it. But let's start doing some formatting here. Number one, Bodie Island Lighthouse, the subheading. Well, it's a subheading. It needs to be bigger. It needs to be maybe even a different color, maybe even centered, doing something to it. The Bodie Island Lighthouse. So what do we do here? Well, we format the text, no big deal. We've done a little of this before. You don't have to select the text. You just need to know the box that it's in CSS-wise. So if we come over here to CSS Designer, love this panel, and we go into Style, make sure we have our styles. We go in here, we know that that one is subheading 1, right there. Now the height is 50 pixels. I want you to remember that because we're going to need that number in a bit. Let's start by scrolling down here and getting into this area right here. Now, number one, let's change the color. So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to choose a different color, maybe something more in a nice blue. Now, you can move it around this way, or you can use the sliders over on the right. We can change to a different measuring system. If you like that color and you feel you might use it again, we can click the plus sign right here and add it up here. So on this side, if we need it, we've got it. That's nice to know. I'm going to click out here. Notice we didn't select any text. We didn't need to. It was in the box. We're controlling the box. So we have the color. I want a different font. That is a serif font. Now, serif fonts are good for reading. If I click here on Font Family, we are all family. We have a bunch of families we can choose from. Now, notice the last word on each one of those lines. Serif, serif, monospace, serif, sans serif, sans serif. Serif fonts are really good for reading because they help guide the eye left to right. Sans serif fonts are really good for getting your attention to things like, well, like subheadings or like headings. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to come down here because I like Impact. Impact is a really big, beefy font, but if it doesn't have Impact, it'll go to the next font, the next, or it will choose just a sans serif font. So we are banking on the fact that people that are viewing our site are going to have Impact, and that's probably a pretty good bet. I'm going to click right here. Well, there you go. It changed it. And I like that. I'm happy with that. But I think I want it centered, so I'm going to click right down here, and I'm going to center it, and I do want it bigger. So that's font size right here. I'll try one of these, although you can go up and say choose pixels and actually type in a number, how big you want it by pixels or by points, whatever. XX large. Actually, that's not too bad. Now here's the other thing. I want to center it inside that box. I don't want it pushing up against my graphic. And you might say, well, we go down here and we do a vertical alignment. It doesn't work that way. It's not quite that easy. But actually, it is pretty easy once you know the trick. Remember, I asked you to remember the number 50 because that's the height of the box, right? If we come down here and go into line height, right here, and click, we go to pixels, and in pixels right here, type in 50. Go ahead and press the return key or the tab, and there you go. It's centering it now in the box because it looked at the number 50, 50 being the height of the box, split it in half, put it right in the middle. So I'm happy. Now let's come down here. It takes a lot to make me happy. Let's go into Lighthouses of the World, which is our footer. Now that box I know happens to be, I believe, 60, but let's do this. Let's come over here and let's go into main footer. And yes, it's 60 right there. So if we come down here, I think I want this on the right. I'm going to click there to put it on the right. Let's come up here and get into our line height right there and type in 60. That's going to center it nice and pretty. Let's go into our font family. And let's try something not quite as aggressive as Impact, but still sans serif. Let's go to this one right here. It's kind of interesting. And I would also like to push it off the edge right here because we're going to begin doing things like coloring these backgrounds and things like that. And I don't want it just stuck up at the end. So let's come up here and we're going to get into padding. Padding whatever is in that container. Let's come over here and let's try 12. Just do something easy. pat it off just like that. So what we have so far is a heading. We've defined it through CSS. We've got a scroll, which is good. And we've changed our text down here too. Tell you what, let's come back into that one. I think we're still there. Let's come down here again, go into colors, and choose the color that we used on the heading. We may change our mind on that, but there you go. So the page is slowly starting to take shape. Let's go ahead and save what we have, and let's move on.